because me reading fanfiction from another fanfiction. The door to the break at him before he shook his took he this was the whole thing. It was in dark lit. Maybe it is just for a moment Susie felt like Hello everyone and welcome to a new video here in my channel. If you're new, hi and welcome. I'm Ra. I'm very happy to be here. If you're not new and you already know me, hi, welcome back to a new video here in my channel. For today's video, I have something that I'm so excited to finally bring back to this channel because it has been so long since I filmed an episode of this series. I am so excited to be back. I have my Formula 1 attire on. I have a William shirt from Logan Sargent. This is a new shirt that I got. If you have not already guessed what this is, even though it's already in the title and in the thumbnail and everything, in today's video I'm gonna be reading more Formula 1 fanfictions from ao3. I am so excited. It has been so long since I filmed one of these videos because I was waiting for this one fanfiction to be finished because I have a friend who posts fanfiction, who writes fanfiction on ao3. They are amazing. Every time they send me something, before they post it, I read it, I love it. I adore my friend. They have just the most amazing writing I've ever read, like fanfiction wise. It is so good, and I was waiting for this one fanfiction to be finished because this fanfiction has different chapters and I want to read all of them on camera. So this is going to be the first episode of me reading this full fanfiction that my friend wrote, and it's going to be another episode of me reading fanfiction from ao3. So if you're excited to see this video, please like, subscribe and turn on the post notifications so you get notified when I post a brand new video every Friday, and so you get notified when I post the next parts of this video, because again, this one fanfiction that I want to read has 12 chapters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 videos and I'm going to read 4 chapters in each video, and I am so excited. I can't wait. So let's begin with the video and let's begin reading this one fanfiction from ao3 that a friend of mine wrote because they are so amazing. I want to start just sharing. I want to share it with all of you because it is so amazing. So let's begin with this video. Okay, so I don't know how I'm going to do it because usually I just read everything, but if I read every single word of this one fanfiction, I'm gonna die because it is so long. Like, my friend writes a lot in each chapter, and if I want to put the first 4 chapters in this video, so I don't know how I'm gonna do it. But let me tell you that the fanfiction is called The Ghost of You, and I can read the summary. It's literally 3 lines, and it says, Fernando's life seemed to be going in the right direction until a car accident changed everything. Mark's life was only getting worse until renting a new apartment changed everything. Or just like Heaven AU, that no one asked for, featuring alcoholic turned ghost Fernando and depressed Mark. That is the summary. I did remember my friend saying that the fanfiction was inspired in this movie. I haven't watched the movie yet, but they said it was inspired in this movie. So if you've seen Just Like Heaven, you probably know what's kind of the idea of the fanfiction. I haven't, so I'm basically like, I don't know what's going on. I am very interested on just start reading. So let's start with the first chapter, shall we? Let's start with chapter 1 of The Ghost of You, wrote by my friend. And because my friend wrote this and they wrote a couple other fanfiction, I'm gonna put their username on the screen so you can go to ao3, look them up, and read their stuff because it is so good. But you will have it on the screen now. And now let's begin reading the first chapter of The Ghost of You, written by my friend Alonso Goes Broom. That is the username. Anyway, let's start reading. Fernando looked at the clock on the wall, letting out a long sigh while he sat down on a chair, running his hand down his face. He had been working for 23 hours straight, and he couldn't even remember when was the last time he had taken a break. His eyes were starting to setting in the feet that had protesting for hours against non-stop walking that came with being a surgical resident. He closed his eyes for a moment, leaning back against the chair. If he could just shut them for a few seconds, he would be ready to. A hand on his shoulder startled him, the sound of someone saying his name making him open his, straightening up for every uncomfortable plastic chair in the break room while he swore he was awake. The nurse next to him making him look in a raised eyebrow. He sighed, blinking a couple of times before he rubbed his tired eyes. I wasn't sleeping. Sure, Fernando, sure you weren't sleeping. I'm gonna insert here clips of Fernando sleeping in his car. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna, insert clips of like pictures of Fernando sleeping in the car in the Aston Martin, because he's always sleeping. It's Fernando, so what do we expect? Sure thing, Fernando. Felipe chuckled, walking around the table to get something from the counter. Since you're not sleeping, I thought you would like to know the patient in trauma 4 is waiting for you. Fernando nodded, stretching a bit before he stood up and walked to a coffee machine on the counter. God, he needed it. He breathed as he waited for his coffee to be made. Glad the machine was slow, so he had an extra minute before he needed to go back to work. The door to the break room was open again, and Fernando looked up to see Andrea walk in. Fernando smiled tiredly at him before turning back to his coffee. The Italian had seen his manner from day one working at a hospital, and he had always been in his corner no matter what. But he would also kick Fernando's ass if he knew he had been working for almost 24 hours straight. Hello there, you look awful. Hello, Andrea, I'm happy to see you. How long have you been working? 23 hours. 23? Are you insane? Time to go home, fair? No, living won't get me that attending position, Andrea. Fernando gave Andrea his best smile, a charming, irresistible one that always made him get away with anything before he pushed the door open with his back and joined the busy corridors, taking the last coffee in one go, throwing a paper cup into the bin before he joined the fray. Signed off on patient release. Order an AKG for the stolen uncle. Hey there, Alonso. Already took care of the trauma 4 since you were too busy sleeping? I wasn't sleeping. You're welcome. Luis winked at him with a smirk before he kept walking, making Fernando's jaw clench. He shook his head, taking a deep breath before he went to work. Taking the charts, a passing nurse handed him a walking into a room. He read everything quickly and looked around the intern. He had a really bad habit of disappearing and only showing in the last moment. Lando, I'm here, Dr. Alonso. It's weird to read Dr. Alonso. Everyone turned around to see the young guy fussing with his hair and tried to fix his scraps before entering the room. Walking up to the beside table to await instructions, Fernando turned back to the present. How are you feeling, Mrs. Clark? Oh my, marry me. That's why I know my friend wrote it, because he wrote marry me. Fernando chucked, smiling down at Mrs. Clark. I've never been proposed before. It was a nice change from a usual grumpy patient. Sure, he said before turning to Lando. We're gonna need CPC light and UAC. Keep watch my fiance here and decrease the morphine drip. He passed off the chart to Lando, biting his bottom lip on top of Young, threatening to escape before the living room to get more coffee. He was definitely going to need it. Coffee. Bob pop a shoulder back in place. Patch up a glass of a bicycle incident. 10 stitches. Get proposed by Mrs. Clark again. Slip away a hand and someone was trying to touch his ass. More coffee and click through the computer side patient files to complete his notes. Take care of a man's bleeding head. Excuse me, sir. If you could take a seat, Lewis said from a couple meters away. I had it, Lewis rolled at him. You're welcome, Fernando answered before turning away to go back to work. Dog bite, more salters, coffee, twist your ankle, another body head, more coffee, make a sick kid smile. 2 bites of an energy bar he got from a vending machine. Feeling like he was about to collapse, Fernando went back to the break room to get another cup of coffee. Andrea was there again, looking for himself in the mirror they had, a front of his face, as he was struggling to make a perfect knot of his tie. Why so formal? Fernando asked. It's my wedding anniversary, so I have dinner at this fancy restaurant. Sounds lovely, Fernando muttered into his cup. It is. You should try it, I'm sure you would find the right person for you if you just put yourself out there. I hardly have time for that. Not when there's more work to do. Fernando, Andrea called him after. Work will always be there. You have to stop and live your life sometimes too. Andrea, that is yes, you are so right. I love Andrea. I'm obsessed with Andrea Stella. He's great. And I'm not saying it just because he is the manager of, you know, the team principal of McLaren, which is also true, but he's just great. Fernando just smiled at Andrea, nodding at him before he pushed the door and stepped back into the hallway. His thoughts on what Andrea had said being interrupted on his phone ringing. Hello? Oliver, his sister said before the other side of the phone, and Fernando smiled at the sound of his nieces. Where are you? I'm at work. I'll be there, promise. Good, because I really think this guy might be perfect for you. Is he there? Not yet. I heard he's really nice and handsome. Fernando rolls his eyes, not needing to be able to see his sister to know what she was smirking about. Just for context, I'm not reading literally every single thing. When it's just a conversation, I'm just reading what they are saying, not the things in between. But if you have not seen the film, for what my friend said, the sister of, in this case, Fernando, made Fernando have this date with someone, and on the way there, that's when the accident happens. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think my friend told me. So wait, you had Lorena? Are you saying setting me up with some random stranger? What? Of course not, you idiot. He's a friend, an old friend of mine. I'm still not comfortable with this. I'm very capable of meeting people of my own. Not, you're not. Fernando, you are not. That is the truth. You are not capable of doing that. But it's okay. We love you for that. And I think it's very funny that Lorena is the one who knows Mark personally. Like, what do you mean you know Mark? Where have you been with him, Lorena? Where have you been with him? I'll be there at 7. It is 7:30. After promising Lorena one more time that he would go to the dinner and saying a quick goodbye, Fernando hung up, sighing as he put the phone back in his pocket. Dr. Hannikin, gunshot begged him in trauma 1. How long have you been on, Hamilton? 12 hours. Mr. Hannikin nodded before he turned towards Fernando with a raised eyebrow. A few more. All right, Hamilton. Scrabbing. Louis turned towards Fernando with a smirk before he walked away to get ready, and Fernando sighed, his shoulders falling in disappointment. Alonso, a word, please. Of course, Hakkinen. What is it? I just want to let you know that I've made a decision of the attending position. I was going to wait until tomorrow to make the announcement, but there's no time like the present, right? Of course. I'd like you to be the new attending physician. You're great value to the hospital and the team, and unlike some other people, you spend more time actually saving lives than kissing my ass, and I like that. Thank you so much, sir. I will not disappoint you. I have met so many ideas I want to get working on right away. Work and wait until tomorrow. You want to go home, understand? You've been here for 26 hours. I know everything. No leave. I don't want to see you in my hospital until tomorrow morning. Fernando smiled as he watched Dr. Hannikin walk away, jumping excitedly once the news happened before he turned around to head back to his room log to change. Once he had changed, he walked to the elevator. His sister hadn't told him to dress up, so he was just wearing a pair of jeans and a black bottom-up. He had tried to calm his emphasis on tried, but he had given up a couple more minutes. He's not like he's trying to impress the guy his sister had set him up with anyway. Dr. Alonso, I'm really sorry, but could you check out on the guy I've called on Curson 6? Bowel obstruction, I think. Fernando sighed, looking down at the watch. He was going to be late to the dinner, but they needed him. Sure, lead the way, he said and stepped out of the elevator. Once he was done helping Felipe with a couple of patients, Fernando hurried through a parking lot, cursing under his breath, and looked down at his watch. 8:30. Lorena was going to kill him. Yes, and if Lorena isn't, I will. He got into the car, groaning as he heard a distant mumble of thunder right before drops started to land on his car. With a sigh, Fernando started the car and started driving towards his sister's house, trying to be careful not to go over the speed limit. But he was late and the roads were empty, and it didn't matter if he went a little over the limit, right? Yes, it is important. You will get a fine, and you probably will die. In this case, you get into a coma. The rain intensified as he was driving towards his sister's house, but Fernando didn't care. He was in a cloud 9 right now, and nothing could ruin his mood. Not even the rain. As long as he could remember, he had wanted to be a doctor, and now at 30, all his hopes and dreams were finally becoming reality. Things could have not worked out better for him, which is maybe why, looking up from his radio, the bright white headlights in front of him didn't quite register in his mind. Those were not there. They could not mean what part of his mind was telling him they meant. Not now, just now. That was the first chapter. And it just gets you into the scene. I like it. That gets you into the scene. It explains what's going on. He's going on a date that, Lorena prepared for him. But, he's going late. He's like going over the limit. He's going fast because he's late. And he gets into a car accident, which we already knew. But it's fine. So we get to the second chapter. There's going to be a very long video if I have to do the first 4. But I want to just do 3 videos on this. Or should I do 2 chapters? And divide it in 2 and 2 videos. I don't know. Like 2 and 2 chapters. I don't know. It will depend depending on how much I, have this, how long this video is. It will depend. But chapter 2. We get to chapter 2. We know what just happened. Let's continue. Mark had been dragged over the city, already in search of an apartment. He wasn't sure what he actually wanted. He wasn't sure of anything anymore these days. That morning alone, Susie had already shown him 3 different places. Her ceaseless talking and inexhaustible energy making his head pound and shuffled along reluctantly. This one has been photographed for magazines. Shaw had proudly informed him that he looked at was the sandbox in the middle of the room. Wait, what? I'm confused. This one has been photographed for magazines. Magazines, Mark repeated, nodding slowly and wondering where the furniture was. This place didn't even have a couch. How was he supposed to live without a couch? Susie hummed. This is Susie Wolf, okay? Just by context, my friend did say that she needed a woman, and we like Susie Wolf, so Susie Wolf. Susie hummed, and Mark shook his head, turning down and walking to the apartment, ignoring Susie's protest behind him. That feng shui nightmare, Susie had taken him into a loft. Well, would you look at all this space? Susie said with a way to wide smile. Mark's footsteps echoed the most empty room, and he frowned and looked around. What was people's problems with furniture in the city? He made his way to the TV area, looking around the place. There was a red couch, which was already better than no couch at all, as well as a low metal and glass coffee table and a blue rug. The whole thing was lit by the ugliest lamp Mark has ever seen in his life. With a shrug, Mark walked to the couch, let himself fall backwards to it. Frowning it, felt like he was sitting on stone. Yeah, this wasn't the one either. The next one Susie showed him was probably the worst of the ones that he has visited so far. This is usually unavailable, but the owners are temporarily living somewhere else. Isn't it great? Oh my god. No, it isn't. You can't really go into a house that is not yours. Mark grimaced, looking right down at the apartment, feeling like he was visiting an elderly aunt or something. This man had furniture, too much furniture to be honest. Pillows were thrown everywhere, and for some reason there were replicas of statues, naked people all over the place. Didn't matter where Mark looked, there was 1,000 things crawled into a small place. It also smelled weird, and it made him open a window and stick his head out just to drip off the nose, so he didn't have to smell it. I'm sensing a no here. Susie said, okay then. Listen, Mark, I'm just not getting a clear picture of what you're looking for at the moment. A gust of wind blew past them, and Mark sighed. If you could tell me more about you, maybe I could help you a bit better, yeah? Mark hummed, nodding slowly, whipping away a paper and stuck itself on his leg. Maybe if you just tell me the kind of work you do, or maybe your family. I don't want to talk about that, Mark muttered. He could have given anything to lie down on a couch, close his eyes, sleep in oblivion a couple of hours, or maybe get drunk off as he sat until he passed out. The flyer attached itself to his face this time. Sublet. He read the full thing, finding out he was for a completely furnished apartment in the same street. Mark looked up and around, realizing that Susie was still talking to him, but he hadn't been listening to a single word that he had said. What's that, Mark? Without looking back, Mark handed the paper to her, crossing the street towards the building that he was looking for. Mark, wait. There's no way this is still available in a city like this, Mark. It is most likely gone by now. Yes, okay, right. Thank you so much. Bye. Susie was saying into a phone, and Mark walked around the apartment. It was perfect. Well then. It was obvious this place hasn't been rented yet. And why is that? There's no lease. It's just a month-to-month sublet. And it's gorgeous, isn't it? Wow, Mark, this is amazing. And with private access, I mean, there's still a lot of work to do, that has to be done, but they're just imagine the possibilities. It is like having a whole other floor. They went to the to the house. Wow, Mark. Wait, no, that I read that. Mark nodded, not really paying attention to what Susie was saying, going back to blocking her out. The city stretched in front of him, and sunlight making a perfect picture of a drawing, and Mark thought it was perfect for spot as an artist, or maybe writing needing inspiration. Shaking his head, Mark looked at an abandoned plant sitting there before he turned down and walked down to the stairs to go back inside again. For a moment, Susie actually left him alone, and Mark appreciated it. The silence felt nice for all the 30 seconds before his ears touched the bus. The sound growing louder and louder, and he groaned. The bus turning into memories, and he would rather avoid. He definitely needed a drink. He spied a sofa set beside the fireplace, a wooden coffee table in front of it, perfect to set down a beer. Before he knew, he was letting himself fall down on the couch while he closed his eyes. I don't know, Mark. I have a couple of places more that we can check out if you need to make a couple of calls, and I like the couch. What? You like the couch? Okay. He likes the couch. He likes the couch. What are we doing? He likes the couch. What else? What else do you want? Nothing. Nothing. You need nothing else. Mark moved 3 days ago, and he still left the apartment once. The Chinese place a couple of blocks away had his older memoirs already for sure, and he would impressively wasn't actually depressing. He was sitting on the couch, drinking his only God knows what number beer, and half-heartedly staring at the television, wondering how things had got to this point. At some point over the past year and a half, Mark had turned into some kind of masochistic. It was the only way he explained what he was doing to himself. A voice that Mark was starting to forget echoed the back of his head, telling him to get his fuck off the couch and start living his life again. But Mark shook his head, dreaming the last of his beer before he got up, walking to a kitchen to get another can. What the fuck? Mark shouted. The can slipped from his grip and falling to his feet, making Mark groan in pain. But he didn't have time for that, because he was a complete stranger standing in the middle of the living room. How did you get here? Mark was about to get robbed, or worse, murdered. His mom would be so pissed if he got himself killed. What are you doing in my house? Your house, the guy said. This is my apartment. I live here. I live here. This is my place. All of this. These are my things. So what are you doing here? Listen, mate. I ain't buying that you're selling. I'm buying what you're selling, okay? So who are you? No, wait. I don't care who you are. Just get the hell out of here. You should show me some respect. This is literally my apartment. I was gone for a few hours, and you broke in and made a mess. A few hours? What the fuck is this guy talking about? Mark hadn't left the apartment in days. You're going to clean up, and then you're going to leave. Am I clear? Without wanting to answer, the man walked around Mark and then disappeared into the kitchen. Mark left out a deep sigh, his drunk brain trying to desperately understand what the fuck has happened. He had rented the place. He had signed a contract, and he was certain he had, hadn't he? Hadn't you, Mark? Did you actually do it? Did you actually do it? That's my question. Mate, Mark called out, realizing the guy hadn't come back yet. Mate, he called out again, walking to the kitchen searching for the guy. Frowning, he didn't find him there. Weird. Cautiously, Mark walked through the whole rooms in the apartment, the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom, before he went back to the living room. No sign of the guy anywhere. He had completely vanished as far as Mark knew he was. Once again, all alone. And that is the second chapter. So that is good. We already know, what was going on with Fernando, what was going on with Mark. And I think I'm just gonna do two chapters per video, because it's gonna take ages if I don't. And like each video is gonna be so long. I'm not gonna do that. But that was the first two chapters. We already know what is happening with both characters. So in the next episode of this series, I will be reading the chapters 3 and 4 and see what's going on with it. I hope you liked this video. If you did, like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications so you can notify when I post a brand new video every Friday. And I will see you on the next video and on the next episode of this series, because I'm so excited. I love reading my friends' fanfictions and reading fanfictions in general. And I have not really, interacted much with you while reading this time, but that's just because it has been the introductory chapters. What do you want me to say? There's nothing going on because it's just the introductory chapters, but I'm excited to see what happens, because again, I have not seen this film, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm excited. So I will see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching.